Hello out there, everyone in radio world. My name is John Driskell Hopkins, and I'm the bass player for the Zac Brown Band. I'm going to be sharing my story.
Are you here? Yippee! Ladies and gents, welcome to the Paul Leslie Hour. This episode features an interview along with acoustic and vocal performances from Grammy-winner John Driskell Hopkins, founding member of the Zac Brown Band. And you're going to hear an intimate, entertaining episode with this gentleman, known to many as Hop. You can see John Driskell Hopkins and the rest of the Zac Brown Band live on the Sun Goes Down 2024 tour with Kenny Chesney, Megan Moroney, and Uncle Kracker. See ZacBrownBand.com for more information. Hey, keep in mind that we've presented unique, compelling content like this to people just like you for more than 20 years. And you can support independent media and help us. Just go visit thepaulleslie.com/support. And we be thanking you. And with that, let us hear from John Driskell Hopkins. This was recorded at Hop's house in the fall of 2009, making it veritable vintage. Come on, let's listen together.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined here in the home of Mr. John Driskell Hopkins. Thank you so much for doing this. It's a great pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Who is John Driskell Hopkins?
I'm a musician, I'm a producer, I'm a songwriter and a singer, a father and a husband, and a hard-working Neanderthal.
It's not often that I get to interview people from Gainesville.
Yeah?
Better not make fun of Gainesville.
Right. Well, it's an easy target, but it's a great place to grow up. It's a smaller town, not too small, but a great place to grow up. And we spend a lot of time on the lake and camping and hiking and everything about Gainesville is a fond memory for me.
So tell us a little bit about how the music bug bit you.
I've been singing since I was able to talk. I guess after choir, and I was heavily involved in choir, both at Grace Episcopal Church and First Baptist Church. After that, I guess high school took over, and my drama director, Pam Ware, was very instrumental in instilling a positive work ethic and a very strong theater program. We did a lot of singing and musical theater and straight theater and all kinds of different stuff, and that parlayed into a theater degree from Florida State, and a band I was in down there helped me just continue to play and sing, and I just never looked back after graduation. So just kind of started in school and in church and ended up on stage.
Can you remember the first time you started to venture into the songwriting realm?
Yeah, well, I mean, aside from writing poems in a tent when I was 5 with my parents, actually the first actual song that I wrote was in 5th grade. I just started taking piano lessons, and I wrote a melody and put some lyrics to it. And my teacher at the time, Martha Stratton, she went crazy over it. And so she arranged it with a bigger piano arrangement. She got the 4th and 5th grade students, because by the time we got this all figured out, I was in 6th grade. So we got the 4th and 5th graders, one of which was my brother, to sing in the chorus and sing the lyrics. The rest of the 6th grade class played the harmonicas and the pianicas and the bells, and Mrs. Stratton played the piano part that she had arranged for it. And we performed my first original song when I was in 6th grade at Fair Street Elementary. That was kind of the first one, and after that it was some writing in high school and college, and just continuing on through that process.
You make your living now as a professional musician.
I have done that for, almost 20 years, so yeah.
So has there ever been anything else that you envisioned?
Well, like most 18-year-olds who first go to school, you're not really sure exactly what you want to do. I considered going into medicine. I tried to study business and just was not really interested in studying all the numbers. And I considered a career in young life. I had a lot of interests. Music just kind of dominated and took over, even over theater, which my degree was in. But it was the kind of thing where you'd make the decision to either perform something that someone else wrote or perform something that you wrote. And when you're writing and performing your own material, there's really no comparison to the gratification that you can get from people enjoying it and changing someone's day for the better because of it.
You have a song called Embracing Grace. Tell all the listeners about that song.
This is a tune that I wrote for my wife before we were married. I was able to get her to move up here from South Florida and come be with me. And this is kind of our story. A long time friendship and many years had gone by since we had seen each other. And this is a story about our reunion. It's called Embracing Grace. Welcome, my dear. I'm glad you're here. I see you changed your hair. How many years? How many tears? Man, I wish I could have been there. Time has been kind. You never left my mind. I didn't know that you still care. If you are free, come sit down with me. Pull up a chair. I have been loved. I have been shoved. Gave it all I had. But in the end, the time that we spend shouldn't make us feel so bad. I see that you have had your share of blue. Life is too short to be sad. I'd like to do it again. I know we can. Baby, you still drive me mad. Now I found love since I found you. I've begun embracing grace sent from above. I know that it's true every time I see your face. Darling, I know everywhere I go it's left me with an empty space. 'Cause now I come home, now I find love, I have found you. I can see you in every crowd, you in every turn, in every room of my house. I can see our passion burn. Heart is not dead. The future ahead makes me smile from ear to ear. Your body's so warm with you in my arms. Gone is every single fear. I was so blind. Now you rule my mind. My clouded eyes have become clear. You make me whole through to my soul. Need you near. Now I found love since I found you. I've begun embracing grace sent from above. I know that it's true every time I see your face. Darling, I know everywhere I go it's left me with an empty Now I find love, I found you.
Our interview is with Mr. John Hopkins of the Zac Brown Band. Mr. Hopkins, what is it you like about music?
Everything. The focus changes, often when something new is discovered. When you've started spending so much time with people who are so good at what they do musically, and you've had lots of successful shows in terms of performance went well, the crowd response was great. At some point, I think it became the crowd response, the audience being the thing that really grabs me and makes me excited about it, which also goes back to the theater thing. If you've got people that are interested in listening to what you're doing and what you have to say, there's really no bigger high than that for me. I love to sing. I love to arrange and produce and write. It makes it all worthwhile when there's somebody there that really appreciates it and enjoys it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with John Hopkins of the Zac Brown Band. Now, you play the bass.
I do.
With the Zac Brown Band. Why the bass?
That's what we needed at the time. My first stringed instrument that I ever owned was a bass. It was a Yamaha RBX 300. I got it when I was 16 for Christmas. I think I played it 2 weeks later in a show with my high school band, and I'm sure it was horrifically bad. Something I've never actually put down. I spent a long time playing acoustic guitar and singing, just to accompany myself. But the bass was an easy decision to pick back up. There were two reasons at the time it became my instrument. First of all, I was playing in a play called Lost Highway, which is the life of Hank Williams Sr. So I was playing a lot of upright bass, and I had put my hands on the bass a lot more frequently because of that. And then Zac came to the studio and said, he wanted to track this tune, and so we started working on the first version of Toes in about 2005. He had just lost his bass player, and so he said, if you know of anybody, let me know. And I said, well, I certainly will, but I'll sit in until you find somebody. And about a month after that, I decided, if they would have me, then I would stay. That's kind of why the bass.
So tell us a little bit about Zac Brown, how you met him in the first place. And I want to know, why do you think this band has become so popular?
I met Zac at CJ's Landing in Buckhead in 98 or something like that. One of those. I was running the open mic there on Tuesdays, and he was probably 20. And he showed up with a buddy of his, and they played some songs and did a great job. And I didn't see him for another year or two after that. He moved to Florida and back, and when he came back, he was ready to do a new record. So we went in the studio and did the Homegrown album at my place. After that was done, I would go check on him at Dixie Tavern once in a while where he was still playing. And even then, in 03, 02, he was slaying it at Dixie. Nobody was bringing in the crowds that he was. So his rise to notoriety or fame has been a slow, long process, but he has had big crowds for years before we started, doing big radio shows and things like that. Jimmy joined in late 04 and I joined in early 05. And I think that Jimmy and I, being band leaders ourselves, helped to kind of push, start saying we need to start playing bigger clubs and get the word out there. And we went, we got, a bunch of new merchandise. We got a new vehicle. We got some new gear. We got in-ear monitors, and just started really going for it. That's when things started to really kind of turn a corner.
I was hoping you could tell us, as a musician, about your influences. And I should also note, for all you people out there, that Mr. Hopkins is also a broadcaster. He has a podcast show, which I enjoyed very much, called Under the Influence. Tell us a little bit about your influences, because you're the one that's normally asking that question.
Right. Yeah. Well,
in that podcast also.
I know we have 2 up. We should have 3 up. The first one was Wyatt Durrett. The second one was Clay Cook. And the third one should be Chris Fryer. It's in the works, but I haven't checked the site to see if it's up yet. I plan to do the whole band and then get the whole band to interview me. So I will be the last of this band, and then hopefully I'll stretch out into Levi and Sonia and Nick and some of the guys we run across on our travels. It'd be great to get one of these big superstars that we run into to hang out after a show and do an Under the Influence. It's basically, the show is 12 of your most influential songs, and I arrange for us to enjoy your favorite adult beverage, and as we become more under the influence of that beverage, we continue to discuss the influences of the songwriter or the musician. I've lost your other question. What was it?
The other question was, and this is kind of going to be a teaser for when that Under the Influence comes out, featuring
what
John
are my
Hopkins.
Influences? Yes.
What are yours?
I gotta say, one of my number one influences, and this is probably because I was 17 and the first time I heard it, it floored me, is and remains the Indigo Girls out of Stone Mountain. They are dynamically incredible. They're amazing singers, amazing writers, and I think it was one song in particular called Love's Recovery that really made me decide, if I'm able to, I want to write songs like that. Probably one of my biggest influences. Other than that, singers across the board. Steve Perry from Journey when I was in high school was a big influence on me. I got into a lot of the progressive rock, like U2 and REM back in the day were big influences on me. Both great singers. I know that even as far back as my dad's 8-track player in the Cadillac was Marty Robbins, gunslinger favorites, and Kenny Rogers, some old country with just really unique voices, and that's always been a big draw for me as a good singer.
We don't want to reveal everything, but what's the cocktail going to be?
Beam and Water Tall, the Jagerback, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be fun because I'll get everybody in the band and to just kind of hang out with me in the bus or something, and we'll all have the same thing, and it should be interesting.
When somebody goes to see the Zac Brown Band, what is it that you hope the listener gets out of the experience of the concert?
I hope that they just have the best time of their life. There's a lot of anticipation these days for our shows in that we have 3 singles that have been on the radio, so people always want to hear those, and we always play them. But we have a lot of other material that sometimes takes the listener by surprise. It's not country. It's not as southern sounding. Some of it is more aggressive rock stuff. Some of it's kind of jam band-ish. Some of it's kind of islandish. If they have the record, they're going to hear a lot of stuff from the record. But we do have new tunes that we keep throwing out. That's never going to stop. We're constantly writing new songs. So probably the biggest thing that I want them to take from the show is that they were surprised, that they were, pleasantly surprised that with the diversity and that it was a show that they haven't seen anywhere else.
In your Under the Influence that you did with Clay Cook, you were recording the thing at Kid Rock's place.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you guys get to meet a lot of interesting people.
Indeed.
Out on the road. Is there one that's been a favorite?
I don't know, man. I think Kid Rock might be my favorite. He's down to earth. He's really, really easy to hang out with. He was very hospitable. We just drove the bus up to his land out there and parked by the studio and recorded all day and all the next day and hung out in the pool and, just real cool. Everybody we've met has been cool. All the guys from Keith Urban's band were very, very accommodating and nice. All the guys from Kenny Chesney's band have been very accommodating and nice. We've hung out with Kelly Pickler a lot. She's very sweet. Julianne Hough has been out with us before. Everybody that we've run into, James Otto, all these country folks have been very cool. And we haven't run across a single one that has been rude or unaccommodating or prima donna-ish or anything like that. Everybody's been very cool.
We're joined by our special guest, Mr. John Driskell Hopkins of the Zac Brown Band. Now, you have a song called Lazy Man. Tell us about that song.
Lazy Man's an older song, but it's one that folks who know my material continue to ask for. Originally written in a more disgruntled state of mind about one of my best friends, but now people seem to relate to it as one of their own kind of anthems. I've heard from a few buddies of mine that they say, "That's me, man. I'm that guy." So take it as you will. This is called Lazy Man, and it's an older tune, but one that I really enjoy playing and singing. Why should it matter? It doesn't affect you. I've got my feet propped up. Nice chili brew. So turn your head. It doesn't affect you. Sitting in the lazy sun, soaking up the afternoon. Can't see a single car on Monroe Street, so I widen my smile to the ladies passing through. Why should you care? Doesn't affect you, doesn't affect you, doesn't affect you, turn the other way. Sure, there might be a couple of little projects just for me, but I can't see a reason to leave my chair. Feel right comfortable sitting right here. Sure, you say there's things to be done and people to see, but somebody else is always there. Indifference is deadly, but I don't care. Should I waste my time on worthless despair? No, forget it. It doesn't affect you. So leave me alone. I didn't do anything wrong. I'll just unplug my phone and keep on drifting. 'Cause it's not my concern. I've got nothing left to learn. It's my time to burn. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. Turn the other way. Doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you. Doesn't affect you. Turn the other way. It doesn't affect you. 'Cause nothing affects you. Turn the other way.
There's something I want to really promote on this special and in all the specials in this series. There's a gig coming up, and it's going to be on October 30th.
Yep.
And it's going to be at the fabulous Fox Theater.
Indeed.
And everybody can visit ZacBrownBand.com, and that's ZAC BrownBand.com. Tell us about that gig.
Well, we're scheduled to be recording a DVD for that show. We have lots and lots of really big artists that will be there to come support us and help us. The gig is for the renovation of the Georgia Theater in Athens. A good friend of mine from Gainesville, Will Green, owns the Georgia Theater, and it burned over the summer, which was a horrible news to hear. Luckily, no one was hurt, but the shell is still intact, so the brick structure is still there. It will look the same from the outside, but the inside will be completely updated and renovated. That is not going to be covered by all the insurance that was required to keep the theater open, so we are going to hopefully be able to make a sizable contribution to that historic building in the great city of Athens, Georgia. That's the reason that the ticket prices are $100.
Right.
That's the reason that we're doing the DVD. That's the reason that we have so many guests coming out. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We're doing a whole rehearsal the day before just to prepare for that one show, just to get all the cameras set and everything. It's going to be outrageous.
Is there anything on the horizons with Mr. John Hopkins or the Zac Brown Band other than that gig?
There's always something on the horizon. We're going to be at the CMAs in November, 2 weeks after that gig, which I think we're slated to play for that. So we're going to be playing on TV for that, which will be super. We've got some more television talk shows, and our whole Southern Ground tour is slated through the rest of the fall and the winter. Just super busy with that, and we get to come home for a couple of days here and there. We're talking about being involved in a movie that's coming out. Just some really cool stuff on the horizon.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing it first here. I have 2 final questions before we part. What is your all-time favorite meal?
I think I had it last night. There's a place here in town called Top Spice over in Toco Hill Shopping Center, and it's Thai. Their massaman curry chicken, medium spicy, is the bomb. And my wife and I had that for dinner last night. It's really, I think, definitely now or these days, my favorite. And that chicken coconut soup, yeah, hard to beat that.
I'm a big curry fan myself.
Shout out to Top Spice.
Right on. My final question. This broadcast is going out all over the world. What would you, Mr. John Driskell Hopkins, like to say to all those people that are listening in?
Thanks. Thanks for being a part of it, and thanks for listening and searching out the musicians and the music that makes you happy. And without the listeners and without the people who are there supporting us, we wouldn't have a job. You know, we say that a lot on stage, and it's very true. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins.
Pleasure.
It's a pleasure to do this interview.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We thank you and appreciate you dropping in for the Paul Leslie Hour today. You know, you can help the Paul Leslie Hour in our mission to provide independent media content like this by visiting www.thepaulleslie.com/support. We truly thank you. This is your announcer speaking. Performance of The Entertainer intro song and Corina Corina outro song, courtesy of John Primorano. Well, that's it for today. So until next time, be safe and be good.